Welcome back to Am I Wrong? Where we dive into the most controversial moral dilemmas from AMI the asshole community. Today's story is one that will make your blood boil, or maybe you'll think our protagonist is being completely unreasonable. It's about a restaurant bill, a group of friends, and a decision that tore friendships apart. Before we get into it, if you're enjoying these stories, smash the like button and subscribe for daily drama. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Now let's get into it. Our story comes from a 28-year-old woman. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah works as a teacher, and like many teachers, she's not exactly rolling in cash. She's careful with her money, budgets wisely, and generally lives within her means. Sarah has a group of college friends, 5 people total including herself. These friends have very different careers and income levels. There's Mark, who works in finance and makes 6 figures. Jessica, who's a lawyer. Tom, who runs his own tech startup. And finally Rachel, who works in marketing for a big corporation. Now this group tries to meet up for dinner once a month. It's a tradition they've kept going for about 6 years since college. Usually they go to nice restaurants. Nothing too fancy, but definitely not cheap either. Here's where things get complicated. Sarah has noticed a pattern over the past year. The group always splits the bill equally, no matter what anyone orders. And Sarah? She's usually ordering the cheapest items on the menu. Maybe a pasta dish, water to drink. Sometimes she skips appetizers and dessert. Meanwhile, her friends are ordering appetizers, the most expensive entrees, multiple rounds of drinks and desserts. We're talking about $100 per person difference sometimes. Last Friday night, the group met at an upscale Italian restaurant. Sarah checked the menu beforehand, she always does, and picked out what she would order. A simple minestrone soup as an appetizer and a margherita pizza as her main course. Total cost? About $32. She planned to drink water. She arrives at the restaurant and immediately notices the vibe is different. Mark suggests they order a few bottles of wine for the table, expensive wine, mind you. $60 per bottle. Jessica orders oysters as an appetizer. Tom gets the dry-aged ribeye steak, the most expensive item on the menu at $95. Sarah orders her soup and pizza. When the server asks about drinks, she asks for tap water. Rachel makes a comment. "Come on, Sarah, live a little. Have some wine." Sarah politely declines, saying she's watching her spending. Tom laughs it off. "Don't worry about it, we're splitting anyway." And there it is. That assumption. That they're splitting the bill equally like always. The dinner continues. Sarah eats her soup and pizza. She watches as her friends devour appetizers, steaks, pasta with truffle oil, multiple glasses of wine each. Desserts are ordered: tiramisu, chocolate lava cake, gelato samplers. Finally, the bill comes. The server places it in the middle of the table. Total: $647. Including tip, they're looking at about $750. Mark does the quick math. Okay, so that's $150 each. Sarah's heart sinks. $150 for her $32 meal. This is where Sarah makes her decision. She speaks up. "Actually, I'd prefer to just pay for what I ordered if that's okay." The table goes quiet. Jessica is the first to respond. "What? We always split evenly. That's what we do." Sarah takes a breath and explains. "I know, but my meal was only $32. With my portion of tip, it's about $38. I can't afford to pay $150 for a meal I didn't eat." Rachel jumps in, her voice getting louder. "This is so awkward, Sarah. We've been doing this for years. You're making this weird." Tom adds, "Yeah, we're all friends here. We don't nickel and dime each other." But Sarah stands her ground. "I'm not trying to be difficult, but there's a big difference between $38 and $150. That's over $100 extra for food I didn't eat and drinks I didn't drink." Mark, trying to play peacemaker, suggests, "Look, why don't we just cover your portion this time, Sarah? We all make decent money, it's not a big deal." But Sarah shakes her head. "I appreciate that, but I don't want you to pay for me. I just want to pay for what I actually ordered." Now Jessica gets more aggressive. "You know what? Fine. But don't expect us to keep inviting you to these dinners if you're going to be like this. We come here to have a good time. Not to worry about splitting checks like we're broke college students. Sarah feels the sting of that comment but maintains her position. I understand if you don't want to invite me anymore. But I can't keep subsidizing everyone else's expensive meals when I'm ordering budget options. The server, sensing the tension, offers to split the checks. She asks each person what they ordered. Mark ordered a $45 steak, appetizers, and had several glasses of wine. His portion, about $130. Jessica's total, $140. Tom's total, $165. He had that $95 steak plus drinks and dessert. Rachel's total, $120. And Sarah's total, $38 including tip. The math is clear. If they'd split evenly, Sarah would have been subsidizing their meals by $112. The group pays their individual bills in uncomfortable silence. As they leave the restaurant, no one is really talking to Sarah. She walks to her car alone while the others cluster together, clearly talking about her. The next morning, Sarah wakes up to a barrage of messages in their group chat. Jessica has sent a long text about how Sarah embarrassed them at the restaurant and made things awkward with the server. Rachel chimes in. We've always split bills evenly. It's never been a problem before. I don't understand why it's suddenly an issue now. Tom adds. Honestly, if money is that tight, maybe you should just stay home next time. Sarah responds in the group chat trying to explain her perspective. I'm sorry if I made things uncomfortable, but I've been paying for meals I didn't eat for years now. It adds up. I love spending time with you all, but I can't afford to keep doing this. Mark, who's been quiet, finally responds. Look, I get where Sarah is coming from. We do tend to order expensive stuff. Maybe we should all just pay for what we order from now on. This doesn't go over well with the others. Jessica replies. Or maybe Sarah shouldn't come if she can't afford it. These dinners are supposed to be fun and relaxing, not stressful. Rachel agrees. Yeah, I don't want to have to think about what I'm ordering because someone else is worried about money. Over the next few days, Sarah notices she's been removed from the group chat. She finds out through Mark, who still talks to her, that the group decided to continue their monthly dinners without her. But here's where it gets interesting. Mark tells Sarah something else. They've been complaining about you for a while, actually. They think you're cheap and no fun anymore. They said they're relieved they don't have to deal with your money issues at dinners anymore. Sarah is hurt but also realizes something. She pulls up her bank statements and does the math. Over the past year, these monthly dinners where she paid equally, she'd overpaid by approximately $1,300. That's $1,300 of her teacher salary going to subsidize her wealthier friend's expensive taste. Money she could have saved, or used for her own rent, or spent on literally anything else. She decides to post her story on Reddit's Am I the Asshole, asking, AITA for refusing to split a restaurant bill equally when I only ordered cheap items? The post explodes. Within hours, it has thousands of upvotes and hundreds of comments. And the verdict? Overwhelmingly and not the asshole. Top comment with 8,000 upvotes. NTA. Your friends have been taking advantage of you for years. $1,300. That's insane. They're not your friends. They're freeloaders who enjoyed having someone subsidize their expensive meals. Another highly upvoted comment. Teacher here. I completely understand your situation. Your friends are showing their true colors. They'd rather exclude you than pay for what they actually consume. That tells you everything you need to know about them. One comment breaks down the ethics. Splitting bills equally only makes sense when everyone orders roughly the same amount. When there's a $100 difference between orders, equal splitting is just the wealthy people making the less wealthy people subsidize their lifestyle. It's actually pretty gross. Some commenters share similar experiences. This happened to me with coworkers. I was the admin assistant making $30,000 a year, going to lunch with VPs making six figures. They always wanted to split equally and I was too intimidated to say no. I finally stopped going and they acted like I was the problem. Good for you for standing up for yourself. There are a few YTA votes, but they're heavily downvoted. One person writes, YTA, you should have brought this up before, not at the restaurant. You embarrassed your friends. But the responses to this comment tear it apart. She did bring it up before. Multiple times. They ignored her. And she didn't embarrass them, they embarrassed themselves by being entitled and inconsiderate. An interesting comment gets a lot of attention. I'm betting these friends have never once offered to go to a cheaper restaurant to accommodate Sarah's budget. It's always been expensive places where they can order what they want, expecting her to foot part of the bill. That's not friendship, that's exploitation. One commenter does the math even further. Over 6 years of monthly dinners, if Sarah was overpaying by even $75 per month on average, that's $5,400. That's literally a semester of rent for many people. This is financial abuse disguised as friendship. The overwhelming consensus is clear. Sarah was not the asshole. Her friends were exploiting her financially, and then gaslighting her into thinking she was being unreasonable when she finally stood up for herself. Sarah posts an update a week later. Mark reached out to her and apologized. He admitted he'd been uncomfortable with the equal splitting for a while too, but went along with it because he didn't want to rock the boat. He tells Sarah that the group went out to dinner again without her, and something interesting happened. Without Sarah there to help absorb costs, the equal splitting meant everyone was paying more than they expected. Tom, who usually orders the most, ended up with a huge portion of the bill. He complained about it. Jessica apparently said, "Well, if we're going to pay for what we order anyway, why don't we just do separate checks?" The group agreed. The irony was not lost on Mark, who pointed out to Sarah, "They're literally doing what you asked for, but only now that you're not there to subsidize them." Sarah also shares that she started having smaller dinners with Mark and a few other friends who actually respect her financial situation. They rotate between cooking at home and going to reasonably priced restaurants. And everyone pays for their own meals without drama. As for the other three, Sarah ran into Rachel at a grocery store. Rachel attempted to act like nothing had happened and suggested they should all get together soon. Sarah politely declined. She's done being taken advantage of. The comments on her update are overwhelmingly supportive. Good for you. You deserve friends who respect you. Those three showed their true colors. Mark is a real one for apologizing. So, what can we learn from Sarah's story? First, friendship should never come with a financial burden you can't afford. Real friends accommodate each other's circumstances. They don't exclude someone for being honest about their budget. Second, if you're in a situation where you're consistently subsidizing other people's choices, it's okay to speak up. You're not being cheap or difficult. You're being responsible with your own money. Third, notice how Sarah's friends reacted when she set a boundary. They didn't try to compromise or find a solution. They excluded her and talked behind her back. That's not how friends behave. That's how people who were taking advantage of you behave when the advantage ends. And finally, the math matters. $1,300 in 1 year. Potentially thousands more over 6 years. That's not a small amount. That's life-changing money for many people. What do you think? Was Sarah right to refuse to split the bill equally? Or should she have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've ever been in a similar situation, I want to hear about it. If this story resonated with you, make sure you're subscribed for more drama from AMI the Asshole every single day. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Remember, stand up for yourself. Set boundaries. And never let anyone make you feel bad for protecting your financial well-being. You're not the asshole for that.